following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Sitting down and designing, where every man never thinking, what are we gonna be wearing? Yo, I'm a Liverpool MC, you can't test me. Big up the girls inside the party, let's get down to crazy Jimmy. Big up myself and known as Alfie, the one and only, the Turkish MC.
Always love the clothes of Jimmy.
Bitch, I'm your wanna be, Jimmy Star's new celebrity.
We'll take you out to Jimmy Star's.
Hey ho, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, bringing you the good times in music, fashion, pop culture, and entertainment. We have a great show for you guys today. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited because I like both of these people a lot that we have coming on. But before we talk about them, let's say hi to my cool, outrageous man about town coast, Mr. Ron Russell.
Hi,
and Astro.
And Astro, yay!
Look at
This
Astro.
dog is so dedicated and loves me so much, and I love him so much. If you're wondering what this is, this was made by Hub. What's Hub's last name?
Reynolds.
Hub Reynolds, I remember. Hub, are you in the chat room?
Not yet. He'll probably be in
Yeah,
there.
when you come in the chat room, babe, are you still making these because they're beautiful? From the computer, you know, you do the thing with the mouse, and you get that awful pain in your arm. What's it called?
Carpal tunnel syndrome, maybe?
Yeah,
or
carpal
something? I don't
tunnel,
know.
somebody's ass. Anyway,
Yeah.
you get that and it hurts. So I put this on, and believe it or not, it helps my wrist a bit. And I thought it went sharp with my leopard skin shirt.
Absolutely. We love Hub.
So here we go.
Hub. So we got a couple people starting to join us. Don Hinton, how you doing? Don Hinton's in the chat room. B. Claudia's in the chat room from Germany. I know she's excited about our first guest because she wrote it on Instagram. So it should be a lot of fun, you guys. We're going to have John Billingsley on the show today.
Who?
John Billingsley. He's a regular on Star Trek, and he was also, for me, I liked him from True Blood a lot because he was in a bunch of episodes, I think 17 episodes of True Blood, which is one of my favorite shows. But he's also been in everything. He's probably one of the more popular character actors in Hollywood. He's been in every show possible that there is to be in, and he's also been a leading man in several shows. And then we have William Perry coming on, like last week's guest, Lee Waddell, actor, stuntman in lots of really big things. And he's also a stuntman for Star Trek, where the first guy is on, but I think different shows because there's a lot
How do you remember
of Star
all
Trek
that
shows.
stuff?
I just do because these are my, this is my kind of thing. Believe it or not, so John Billingsley, which, by the way, I ordered his action figure today on eBay since he's coming on the show.
Was he
And,
I have to ask him if he's any relationship to the Billingsleys. The Billingsley was a big reporter, New York reporter. I forgot his first name. John Billingsley, was it, I think?
Okay.
This guy's name is what?
John Billingsley.
Oh, maybe it is.
I think he's from Pennsylvania.
This may be the junior of the senior Billingsley.
I'm not
What
sure.
the hell was Billingsley's name? He was a reporter back in the 50s.
I wasn't
let me
born.
think
I don't
about
know.
Let me think about Billingsley.
Actually, while you're thinking, B. Claudia told me to let you know that Nick, her son, is in.
Who?
Nick is in Venice. B. Claudia's son is in Venice. She said to let you know.
Oh, lucky
Lucky him.
your son. I wish I were in Venice instead of here.
And
With him.
and also then
Not
actually
true. I'm happy I'm here with Jimmy.
no, absolutely. So actually, you guys, it shows that John's actually with us, and he told me he had a callback and that he might be late. Our guest told me he had a callback for an acting role, and at 12 o'clock. But if he's here, let's bring him on in case he has to leave early. Let's bring him on.
I'm on.
Hey, how are you?
Well, yeah, my audition got pushed. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
You what?
I
His audition
asked them whether I
got
could
pushed.
make it later, and they said actually we want to push it till next till tomorrow. Anyway.
Listen,
So, yeah.
who was your father?
Well, first off, you're thinking of Sherman Billingsley.
Sherman Billingsley.
And he wasn't a reporter. He ran the Stork Club,
The
although
Stork-
he was one of Walter Winchell's great confreres.
Right.
So
I
Walter
remember-
Winchell, who basically camped out of the Stork Club.
I remember Sherman Billingsley now. You're right, the Stork Club.
Yeah.
And he used to squeal, and this is true, on what used to go on in the Stork Club with celebrities. That-
Yeah,
oh, yeah, he used to tell the press,
Yeah.
you know, Lana Turner was there getting felt up by John Wayne. You
well,
know,
that's why Walter Winchell basically. I mean, that was his
But
office.
Winchell was a rat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. He was a rat. And then
They
there's a lot of,
glorified him in that wonderful portrayal they had of him. He was nothing like that at all.
Hold on, let me do an actual intro now.
He'd sell his mother for a nickel.
Well, yeah, there's a great Neil Gabler biography of Walter Winchell that
They were
just
all
rips-
rats. No,
rips him
they were-
apart.
Luella Parsons was a bitch. Hedda Hopper was no good. They were all rotten people.
In any case, whether I am related or not, it would be distant. All the Billingsleys, including
Okay,
Barbara-
Billingsley is a beautiful name, and there aren't too many Billingsleys around.
Oh, there are more than you'd think. There are a lot more Billingsleys than you'd think. It's just that most of them haven't amounted to much. They still run stills in Arkansas.
But how did you
Still
know?
run stills in Arkansas.
How did you know about Sherman?
I'm fairly well read, and I read a lot of history.
Well, people have said that to you, I bet, over the years.
No, I mean you have to be at a certain age. Unfortunately, not that many people really know their history. So not that many people who are under the age of 75 even remember who Sherman Billingsley was.
Right,
Most people ask me about Barbara Billingsley or Peter Billingsley.
right. But
Barbara
Sherman-
was Beaver Cleaver's mom.
Yes,
Peter was the kid in A Christmas Story.
he knows everybody.
I've been to the Stork Club. I'm 83.
He'll be 84 in May. So
So I've been to the Stork Club. It was wonderful. I must tell you that.
So hold on, I want to do an actual intro.
Yes.
I need the intro. All right, everybody. Now we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, the incredibly talented John Billingsley. Hello and welcome to the show. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be had.
We also have this is my cool, outrageous man about town co-host Ron Russell.
Hey, how
Fabulous.
are you, John?
Peachy
Anyway.
Keen.
We're best friends already, John.
and then I want to say we have a chat room full of people, so please say hi to everybody in the chat room. They're just starting to join us now, so say hi to the chat room, and then especially say hi to B. Claudia. She's in Germany, and she was freaking out that you were coming on the show, and she's a big
Fabulous.
friend, so she loves you.
Fabulous. Yes,
What
I
an-
can,
what
we
an
can just talk about Billingsleys all day long because I know a lot about the Billingsleys. They're all reprobates.
The room you're in is very interesting.
Oh yeah,
He reads a lot. They're
you
all
read-
books.
You read a lot. That's
I
what
read a lot.
Look at all those books. That's your office study or
This
what?
is my office. It's only one room of a house full of books. I have a very patient wife. My feeling is you can either become a heroin addict or you can read. I chose reading.
Okay, so for me, you can be a heroin addict or you can collect action figures, and my husband is very okay with that, and he reads. But I have hundreds, I have probably thousands of action figures, of which I get the action figure of everybody who comes on the show. So I ordered yours off of eBay this morning.
Fabulous. Now, let me ask you: do you only have people on your show who have action figures? Is that
No.
just positive? If you don't have an action figure, you can't be on.
We have everybody, but if you do have an action figure, some people like John Berriman's been on, and he's got like 10 action figures. So I
Okay,
have
yeah.
all 10 of them.
I only got the one action figure, although it does have a detachable head. It's got a spare
Yes.
head, so if you get bored with one head, you can put the other head on.
I just bought it this morning, so it'll probably go on my Instagram later on today. Of which you're not on Instagram, right? I couldn't find you on Instagram.
No, I'm not. I'm on Twitter, which I refuse to call X, and I'm really not even wanting to be on Twitter anymore. The only reason I do social media is to promote the various charitable events and causes that I'm involved with. I'm not much of a social media schmoozer otherwise, so I keep my social media.
Well, you're intelligent.
He's not on it. He just does Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, you read a lot. Did you know that people like us are addicted to reading?
I do. We're
Read everything. When I used to take the subway years ago, I would read all the advertisements, and I mean, it's a disease. I still do it today. I read labels on cans and milk containers. Whatever's in front of me, if there are letters, I have to read it, and it's a compulsive disorder. Did you know that?
that's what I mean. If you were going to have a compulsive disorder, better be a love of books, reading and collecting than
Love reading.
heroin,
Love-
gambling, loose women.
No, you're right about that.
Wait, my next question was: are you a Gemini?
No, I'm a Taurus.
Oh, because Geminis are addictive to reading.
I actually,
When does Gemini begin? I was born on May 20th, so I'm on the cusp.
Oh,
of-
you have a lot of Gemini in you. That's why
There you
you're reading.
There you go.
Geminis have to
he's
know.
May 28th, so
Yeah, Geminis
Okay.
have to know everything. We must learn every day. If we're not learning, we get depressed and miserable. Am I right? We have to know what's over
I
the hill.
certainly need to read every day, and to the extent that one learns when one reads, yes.
Yeah,
I read a lot of fiction, so a lot of what one
But don't
learns.
you have to know what's over the hill and behind the door?
I don't necessarily want to know what's over the hill or behind the door, because if it's threatening, I just as soon pretend that the door is not my door.
Well, I don't
And the
mean
hill is not my hill.
politics. I mean in your private life.
Oh, I'm very up on politics.
I have to know everything that's going on around me. Every single thing. All at
anyway,
once.
all right.
All at
So
once.
anyway, I want to move this
No,
forward.
we have a lot. Go ahead, go. I wanted people to get to know his personality,
actually,
not just sell his product.
he doesn't
okay?
have a product to sell.
No,
He's-
but you're selling it.
I-
You're not giving him a chance to be known to the people. Our show is you're in Brooklyn.
Oh, I see what your show is. I have a sense of what your show is, just like that. Oh yeah, your show is very unique. I love it.
We're in Brooklyn having coffee and Entenmann's cake, and we're talking.
You're having
That's
Entenmann's
what I
cake right
want.
now?
no, but pretend like you are.
Pretend.
Pretend
Okay.
you're in our living room, and even
What's,
though we're in Palm Springs,
What Entenmann's cake are you having?
he likes the crumb cake.
I want you to warm up with us, and we warm up together. We do the funny stuff, and then we get to what you're all about. You know, people really don't give a shit what movies you're in or what book you've written. They really don't care.
Well, that's
They
good, because
wanna
I'm hardly in any
know.
movies and I haven't
They
read
want-
any books.
Oh, yeah, right.
They want to know if you got laid last night. That's what they want to know. They want the nitty gritty.
Let me call my wife down. That might be a matter for dispute.
Actually, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on the show, and I'm a fan of all the stuff that you've done, but I actually saw an interview, a thing where you were at a convention and they wanted to throw a pie in your face, and like you took your shirt off and let them throw a pie in your face, and I thought, oh my God, what a fun guy! Like how many people?
Wait, let's find out why would.
How many famous people would go to a convention, take their shirt off in front of hundreds of people, and
Back
let
it
somebody
up.
hit them in the face
Back
with a
it up.
pie?
Back it up. Now we have to know why they were throwing a pie in.
Well, you remember the water bucket challenge?
Yes.
Yeah. So there are all sorts of challenges like that. And there was a challenge, and I can't remember what the cause was. It's, will you take a pie in the face for charity? And if you do, then you pass on the challenge to 3 other people. I'll always do shit like that. I spend a lot of time and energy and money kind of raising awareness and raising.
for charity.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I love it, which we'll
I
talk
would,
about yours
but
in
I
a
would
little bit.
request a lemon meringue pie. So I could eat something.
Yeah, lemon meringue is fine. I mean, it wants to be a cream-based pie, not a fruit pie. I think in this instance, it
No,
was
I
just a
really
pie
want-
plate full of whipped cream.
It was fun though, and the fact that you like did it, and that you, because I watched a bunch of interviews. You know, you're a generous celebrity who actually like gives interviews, for people. So it's a lot of fun, and that's probably why you have such a big fan base. Because like I put I'm kind of big in social media. I use it mostly for business because I produce movies and I need to
Sure.
get guests for the show. But I put the promo that you and our second guest, who's William Perry, he's like a stunt guy coming
Fabulous.
on. And I normally get 8,000 to 10,000 likes on a picture, and that one has 46,000 likes. So I knew a lot of people were going to watch the show, so they like you a lot. And,
Fabulous.
and
You
I
know,
think
but
it's a lot
Jimmy,
of fun.
If it weren't for the interviewer, the interview show, how would people get to know what people are doing? They would have no idea, because there's no such thing as Modern Magazine, Glamour Magazine.
No, you're absolutely right.
There's no such thing as the publicity that was in the 1940s and
Yeah.
50s.
No, you're absolutely right. And as somebody who is a vaguely recognizable character actor with limited credibility in the community, I do podcast after podcast after podcast after
You have
podcast.
to. You have
Because that's how I'm able to talk about the charity work I do. I have no self-aggrandizing message at all, because my career, as far as I'm concerned, I'm 64 years old, is like, I was happy to work. I'm happy to work if there's more work, but frankly, I don't really care that much. What I do care about is raising awareness for some causes that matter to me. And that's what I always talk about in the end, which I know we'll get to. I mean,
Yes, we will get to it. I wrote
I'm
it
happy
down.
to just bullshit till the cows come home. Believe me, friends. I am the last of the great bullshitters. So you asked me.
good. We like bullshit. Jane Russell was a good friend of mine, and we were out one day, and a woman said to her, you know, you look just like Jane Russell. And Jane Russell said, oh, I do? She said, yes, but she's dead. And I looked at Jane, and Jane said, oh, did she die? And the woman said, oh, yes, some time ago she died. So, you know, that was my point that I'm bringing out. If I didn't interview Jane, nobody would know that she was still alive. The great Jane Russell, who was the most famous woman in the world.
Sure, absolutely.
And here she is. They thought she was dead. So I have to say two claps. Can't give the clap. No, 2 hand smacks for interviewers.
I know we love it.
Absolutely.
We have a good time with all of it. And so my first question that I want to like ask you, and it's a dumb question because you have all these like really big popular things, True Blood and Star Trek and all this stuff. But there's a movie and I couldn't figure out where you are in this movie, even though your IMDb says you're in it. So maybe you're not in it or you're only in it for a second. But my go-to feel-good movie, believe it or not, is A Cinderella Story because I love Hilary Duff. I love the dude, Chad Michael Murray. He's been on our show. And
So I don't know if I made the final cut or not. I've never seen the movie, but I was a professor who acts like a frog. So there is
I think you got cut out of it because I literally watched it again yesterday on purpose
okay.
while I was working to see if you were in it. And I was like,
The only
that's
reason I would
character,
think
you know, that's
the only
what
reason
I-
I would think that there must be some glimpse of me is because I still get residual checks. And generally, if they cut you out of the movie, you'd stop getting residuals. You don't get
I have to
residuals.
like watch it. Well, you don't have a big speaking thing in it, that's for sure.
No. And you know, I think
You brought him on to destroy his career.
No, I'm not. I just that's
No.
a movie I like a lot.
no, believe me, I'm always the first one to kind of like say, let's talk about the worst things I've ever been in because those
I
are the
don't
ones
think
that
it's
make me
terrible
laugh.
though. I think it's one of the funnest family feel good movies, you know,
Good.
of the era. It's so much fun.
I have a deep place of affection for it because I've been getting residuals from it for 20 years, and
And that's
anything that sends me a check, I love.
well, the stars of that movie. First of all,
And you are, by the way, the first person who has ever asked me about A Cinderella Story in all my years of podcasting. Nobody has ever asked me about.
Chad Michael Murray and Hilary Duff are great stars. They never got in trouble. The lady you like so much plays Hilary Duff's mother. What's her name? Jennifer. Jennifer, the one you wanted to play your wife in your movie, Jennifer
Oh, I
Coolidge.
love her.
Jennifer, is that her
Jennifer
name?
Coolidge, that's right. I
Jennifer
forgot.
Coolidge is the star of the movie.
I love Jen. I love
you know,
her. I love her. I love her.
She's fabulous, and
But
it's
wait
just
a
a
minute.
fun
You
movie.
above all people should know if they have to cut a movie for time, they don't give a shit who they cut out of a movie.
But if he's
They
getting
all
residual,
discuss
he
it.
must be in it.
Obviously, the frog was not that important of a character.
The frog was not that important. I made faces like a frog and I danced like a
Wait,
frog.
God, it wasn't you they cut out.
I didn't take it
The
personally.
frog they cut out.
No, so for me, like, we bring people on all, every week. Obviously, we have 2 celebrity guests, and a lot of times, I always like kind of like the quirky things. I mean, obviously, True Blood. Actually, in the chat room, they're asking like, how's Andrew? What's the Skarsgård guy? Was he cool? Because like everybody thinks he's like the hottest. Even Ron's daughter thinks he's like the hottest thing
Who?
on the planet.
He was hot. Alexander Skarsgård, who was
Skarsgård.
I wish I knew
introduced
who
as,
these
yeah.
people were.
he was introduced as the villain in True Blood, and then he kind of became the other love interest for Sookie. I didn't really ever work with him. You know, I had a relatively small part in that. For those who watched the show in the second season of the seasons that I did, I think I was in 5 of them. There was a sorceress who turns the entire town into sex fiends. So most of the second season, we're having an orgy.
Yes.
So I had to sign a nudity waiver, which I thought, oh, probably, an episode, they'll see me. But little did I know, for, 13 episodes, I was going to be running around naked, kind of fucking anything that moved. Trees, rocks, men,
I
women.
thought it was such a great show. We actually had Nelson Ellis.
Oh, yeah, he's great. I love Nelson.
on
He's
the
great. He's
show.
a
We had
wonderful actress.
people from it on the show, and
Yeah, some great people in that show. I didn't have that much to do, but what I did was churse, as Spencer Tracy said.
I know I like
You
love
have
it.
children?
Do I have children? I do not. I have
What-
cats.
No,
I
he has
have a
cat. We have 3 dogs, but
I-
he's got 2 daughters.
And my dog is like my son, so I know what a pet is. How many years are you married?
25. Well, 25 together. 23 married. 14.
And how did she meet you?
I like to think I met her, but all right, play it your way. We bumped into each other at various events, auditions, what have you, and then there was one audition in particular that was running ridiculously late. So we had 2 hours in the waiting room together, and we had a friend of ours, a mutual friend, who kind of served in a weird way as kind of a buffer. It allowed us to flirt openly without it getting too sticky. And at the end of that conversation, I asked her for a number, and in spite of the fact she said she didn't believe in dating anymore, she gave me her number. And then bing, bang, bong. I knew right away.
Was it love at first sight?
It kind of was. I mean, we'd met before, but it was definitely love at first conversation. The first time we actually had a legitimate long conversation, it was like, ooh. Yeah, I knew right away. I'd been married before. She'd been married before.
But it seems to have been the right marriage.
It was the right marriage.
25 years later.
Yeah.
You know, in Hollywood, 25 years is 1,000 years in the real.
Well, not for character actors. There's all, we're an entire different breed. The celebrities and the stars, that's one thing. But we character actors, I mean, I look like a potato. It's not like I'm going to be screwing around all over the city, for God's sake.
I'm a character actor, and I'm a 3-timer. Well,
really? Okay.
Yeah, one to death. One died, and what happened to the other one?
You divorced your wife.
Oh, I divorced my wife.
And then he was with
My
his
husband
who died of pancreatic
It makes
cancer.
it's a good book.
And then me. And we're like
And then
going on
Jimmy.
11 years.
So yeah,
Yeah,
no, I know a lot of young guys. When they start off in the business, they sort of fall in love for the right reasons, not necessarily for love. And then in a few years, when they get a little bit known and make some money, they dump the person they no longer need. So that's what happens among the little actors.
I think that's just true generally of people,
Everybody.
A lot of people, they get married when they're young, and it's like, you probably shouldn't get married until you're 35. I mean,
Yes, I agree. So wait, I want to brag a little for you.
Now you can
because
brag.
I want to brag a little because you're very humble. You are a character
now
actor,
we
but you're
know
not just
we-
a character. I mean, you're a character actor. You've been in everything. And you guys, I didn't write everything down because there's too much stuff to write. But here's some of the stuff that you will have seen John Billingsley in. These are some of the TV shows that he had. Maybe
Now,
it was on an
talk
episode or
slowly
two.
and don't mumble.
And these are huge shows, you guys. This Is Us, Shameless, which we've had everybody from Shameless on the show. The Good Doctor, Criminal Minds, Without a Trace, Leverage. I love that show. The Practice, Silk Stockings, LA Doctors, Martial Law, Felicity, The Pretenders, X-Files, Nash Bridges, Diagnosis Murder, Judging Amy, Family Law, Gilmore Girls, which a good friend of ours wrote that, Stan Zimmerman. Gideon's Crossing, Touched by an Angel, The West Wing, 6 Feet Under, Roswell, NYPD Blue, Stargate.
Stan Zimmerman.
Wrote that. I said it. Stargate SG-1, Angel, Nip Tuck. I love that show. Cold Case, CSI New York, The Closer. That's not all of them, you guys. I just wrote down the ones that for sure everybody knew a lot. And some of the movies you've seen him in: Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles,
Oh.
High Crimes, White Oleander, Out of Time, The Man from Earth, The Last Word, 2012 with John Cusack, Trade of Innocence, The Watcher, The Shift. And then he's also got, I don't think I mentioned, Beverly Hills 90210, True Blood, Suits, Masters of Sex, Scrubs, 24, Dead and Deader, The Nine, Prison Break. And obviously everybody knows him as Dr. Phlox from Star Trek Enterprise because he's on 1 million episodes, and that's where he has his action figure from.
that's where I get my action figure.
Is that where people most recognize you from?
It depends upon the people. Some people there. I was in a movie called Out of Time with Denzel Washington. Obviously, Denzel's got a huge fan base. I was his buddy in that movie, so a lot of people recognize me from that. I've been in all the crime shows. The people who are aficionados of crime shows recognize me as serial killers and child molesters. And then there's the sci-fi community. Yeah, I have a little specialty, a little subgenre specialty of playing perverts. And then there's the sci-fi community, and they know me from primarily Star Trek, but also all the other sci-fi shows I've been on. They're Stargate fans, they're X-Files fans. I've been on 4 or 5 TV series that flopped. So sometimes you meet somebody who liked The Nine or liked Intelligence or a show called The Others. But the one that survived and lasted for a number of years was definitely Star Trek. And that's where most people know me.
You know
So how do
Tracy
you
Lee
feel
Coco?
about-
Do you know Tracy Lee Coco?
I know Tracy, yeah.
She's a friend of ours that we
Oh,
see
yeah.
a lot. We see her at a lot of events when we go to a different event.
Yeah, pretty much anybody in the Star Trek community I know. I've been around in that community for 25 years. The show I was on was called Enterprise, and it premiered in 2001. And we all know each other. We go to conventions. I just got back from a Star Trek cruise, which is an interesting thing. So we're all buddies.
I know. I think
How
that's
do you
fun.
feel about fans that do recognize you?
Oh, I love the fans. There are two different kinds of actors. They're the actors who shouldn't have been actors because they don't really want to actually meet people. And then there are the actors who, like, every time you walk into a bar, you're looking around to see if you can find the person who's going to buy you a beer that night. I'm that kind.
Okay.
That works.
I don't mind being recognized as long as I'm not with a mouthful of food.
Well, and even then, there's always a part of me that says, you bought me a house. I mean, I know. Hey, hi. You know?
That's fine.
No, but I
there's a
like
thin-
I like the fan that creeps up on you and they stand there and they let you swallow what you're eating to acknowledge you. I
Well-
don't like the one that comes and smacks you on the back like you're his best friend and makes you choke on the food. So
I make a lot. One, I'm not Paul Newman. I mean, I think if you had the level of celebrity that the people who are the real mucky mucks have, where you can't leave the house without worrying about being photographed, being stalked, yada yada. I'm just a kind of vaguely recognizable face. As you say, I've been around for a long time.
Right.
So people come up and say hi, but it's never to the extent that I begin to feel like, oh shit, I don't have any privacy. Oh shit, I can't be left alone. It's only been a pleasure. I have nothing negative to say about any interaction I've ever
I
had.
just think that there are some people that have to learn that a celebrity is not a commodity of theirs. It's not something that they can attack. I had lunch with Betty Davis and a few producers and directors many years ago at Les Moustaches in West Hollywood. When they recognized her, we were attacked at the table. And they ran, oh no, all queens. It was a gay restaurant. It was all queens. All the queens ran over to her. Oh, Miss Davis, I love you. I adore you. I love you. And Betty sat there saying, of course you do. Of course you do. Of course you do. And
Actually-
I thought that was perfectly wonderful the way she got rid of them by saying, of course you love me.
Yeah, and as I say, I would be hard pressed if I were Betty Davis or Paul Newman or anybody else to have that level of celebrity and that level of attention. But I'm so far down on the ladder that it's the perfect amount of attention for me. Enough for me to feel grateful and not enough for me to feel overwhelmed. I've, again, been extremely fortunate in that respect.
So let me ask you a question. Have you ever, because I know, do you know who Steve Basic is?
I don't think so.
He was on one. He was on one of the Stargate shows, but I don't actually know which one. I just thought
No,
maybe everybody's.
I was on one episode of Stargate. I had a nice
okay.
star role, but I don't know the Stargate world anywhere. You know, if you're a series regular, that's your milieu. If you're a guest star, you're on for an episode or two, and you meet some people, but you don't know them. So
do you have to audition? Because you've been a guest star on like 100 shows. Like, do you have to like audition to get those also, or do they just pretty much put you in for who you are?
every now and again you get an offer, but at my level, for the most part, I still have to audition. I tried for a while, in part because I wanted to spend more time devoting myself to charity, to kind of say, hey, make me offer only. And I learned pretty quick, that ain't gonna fly. So I still audition. Mostly at my age, I made a nice amount of dough and I don't really have to work. I love to work, but I don't sweat it. So I turn things down if I'm busy. I don't like horror movies. There are certain things that I'm just not interested in.
Oh, you did a couple too. You did a few horror movies, but you didn't really like.
I did, but it's not really my, I mean, suspense movies, scary movies, gory movies. I'm just not that, not my.
So we're not going to see you getting your leg chopped off in a
No.
Saw movie.
No, exactly. No, I had an audition the other day about well, I shouldn't talk about it because it's somebody's project and I'm sure it's very dear to them, but it was a project that struck me as like, I don't think I want to be attacked by a demonic zucchini or whatever
No.
the fuck. We'll talk on that.
John, are you like me?
I
can't
don't know.
wait,
Maybe.
hang on. Great part, big part in the movie. Can't wait to do it. All excited. The night before, laying in bed, tossing and turning. How am I going to play it? Am I doing it this way? Are you one of those?
No, because I mean, unless some like bizarre, one, I ain't getting big parts in movies these days, so I don't have to worry about it. But let's say that there's an interesting part. You've had time to work on it, absorb it. There's always nerves that first day you go on a set, but the same way there'd be nerves the first day you go on any job.
Not
You don't
nerve.
know anybody. You don't know how you're going to fit in. Is a director going to be a dick? Blah, blah, blah. But in terms of my work, to answer your question, in terms of my own process, no, I don't get nervous about what it is I'm
Not nervous. Nervous was not the question.
Yeah.
The question was, unsure of how to play it. You
No.
know, you read a script and when you first read the script, you got it. Oh, I got
Yeah.
it. Then you read the script a second time and you say, no, I don't have it. Oh yeah, now I've got it. And then the day before you're shooting, you lay in bed at night saying, oh my God, do I have it?
Yeah, no, I don't tend to. Well, one, I mean, I'm auditioning, so I wouldn't have gotten the job if I wasn't pretty much in the ballpark with what they want. So, you know,
So
for
it's
the
easy.
most part, you know that you're simpatico. I will say that what happens sometimes on the set is that the director throws you a curveball that you feel like, I don't think that's right. And then you've got to figure out whether or not you can find a way to incorporate the note or whether you have to say something. And that can be tense. It doesn't happen too often. But again, I'm not at a level where I'm like being asked to play extraordinary, complicated, and dimensional.
Doesn't matter what level you are. Even if you say 2 words,
No, it does. It does matter. I disagree with you on that. It does matter. When 2 words is 2 words. You know, when you're playing Lear, you know, Spear Carrier and Lear are 2 different challenges. I'm not going to have a problem. I'm going to sleep fine if I'm the Spear Carrier. If I'm playing Lear, I might have a hard time going to sleep.
Lear is a little difficult. Now, how do you feel about you're ready to do your take, and they run over and they say, "Here's 7 more pages."
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, David Milch. Yeah, David Milch, famously, I did do a
How do you feel about that?
Hang on,
I have
he's
a
telling you,
breakdown.
he's telling you.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, that fortunately does not happen very often. I mean, one, again, with the exception of David Milch, God bless him, wonderful writer, wonderful visionary. He was notorious for handing actors pages on the day or massive rewrites the night before. It drove Jimmy Smits off of NYPD Blue because you can't deal with it as an actor. We are not machines. It's not like we can look at the words and absorb them just like that. But most people know that. I mean, again, no knock on David Milch. He's a genius. Most people in the business understand that we are not robots and we have to have time with the words. I don't like it, particularly as I get older, when I don't have enough time with the words.
Do you have time? Do you have trouble remembering lines now as you've gotten older, or is this still easy?
It gets harder. I mean, it depends upon the script. It depends upon the words. If it's not full of, you know, esoteric language or scientific terms or arbitrary names, the story is the story and you're learning the story and it's pretty easy. When it's like, you know, well, I met Ron Grabowski the other day at Moe's Joint, and then we walked over to 42nd Street and we met Sally Minuti. That's where it's hard. You know, that's where you got to have like these mnemonics that will help you remember these names. Even then, you know.
But you have to do what Johnny Depp does and Meryl Streep does, and the other one, Robert De Niro does, and what Ron does. Me, I slip a little thing in my ear, and he feeds me my lines.
If he forgets or he gets stuck, I feed him the lines.
Because I'm like you. I play a scientist in an upcoming movie called The Red River.
Yeah, Red River.
Red River. And there are words in there. I said, what the fuck is this? I never heard of these. I can't even pronounce them.
He did a movie. He did a movie. It's a fun movie, but it was not a great movie, but it was a lot of fun, called Clown Motel 2. And he had to say the word Bitcoin, and literally he could not remember the word Bitcoin because he didn't know what a Bitcoin was back then.
Yeah.
And he couldn't remember it. He kept flubbing it up, and so we had to like write it down so he could read it.
Well, yeah, and then there are all sorts of, you're right, and there are all sorts of little tricks, things, you know, you try and if you can write them, well, why don't you hold a clipboard? It's like, you know, maybe incorporate a clipboard, all sorts of little devices. And you know, on a set, you know, they want the day to move. So one, they'll come and let's change those lines. Let's get rid of that word. They don't want you to fuck up 50 times because they can't afford to fall that far behind.
Yes.
They help you fix it fast. That has not been a huge problem of mine.
Sometimes. I have a habit of rewriting the lines.
Well, you know, it depends upon the project. Sometimes you can get away with it. And so, you know, if you're on an Aaron Sorkin show, that ain't going to fly.
Right.
In case you didn't notice, I have a New York accent.
I did notice, yes, and it's a lovely one.
Brooklyn accent.
A lovely one.
They always hire me to play a Brooklyn gangster, like
I can
a
see
soprano.
that.
And they give me lines, and I say, "This is not Brooklyn." I'm not going to say, "Oh gosh, gee, Huck, I'm going to hurt you," because if you said that in Brooklyn, they'd shoot you. You'd be a little faggot, and you cannot do that. They say, "Well, how would you say it?" And I say, Get over here, or else you're gonna get it. That's Brooklyn.
Yeah, and it's like all things. You feel out the set to the extent that you have the capacity to say hey. You say hey. In those instances where you don't have the capacity to say hey, it's like hey,
Do
you
you
hired me. You hired me. I'll do my job.
Yes.
Do you dislike, as I do? I dislike a director I cannot talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been lucky there. I would count them on the fingers of one hand, but in those instances where I feel like, I'm not going to get any help from this director, and like as not, he's going to get in my way, I just avoid the conversation. And most of those people are themselves not that great with actors, and they don't want to have a conversation with you any more than you want to have a conversation with them. So it's probably not a big problem.
Director. I was in a movie where the director was in another room watching us work on a TV.
Literally, like 50
What the
yards
fuck was
away.
that all about? John, I'm from the olden day movies, where we made movies in the 50s,
Yeah.
where the camera was the size of a Volkswagen,
Yeah.
and we had marks and we did everything the right way. Now, when you go on a movie, no marks, the camera is up in the world somewhere,
Yeah.
and you don't know what the fuck you're doing because nobody's telling you what to do. So
As you know, I mean, the reality of the modern world is that, you have to have about a bajillion cuts in a movie these days for an audience, a young audience, to want to watch it. I was watching The Bishop's Wife a few years back, and it's really
We watch it all the time.
Yeah.
there's a great shot by the staircase, and the camera never moves, and every character enters the frame, and it's just a oneer, basically, it feels like a theater piece. Those days are gone. And, everything about movie making now is so radically different from the way it used to be, including the nature of the way the editor has to, continually keep you engaged as a viewer through rapid cutting. I agree with you. Although I wasn't alive back then, I miss aspects of the old way of storytelling.
I was very young.
Of course you are. Believe me, I'm 64. I ain't no spring chicken.
My first
I'll
movie,
be 60 this year.
my first
Okay.
movie was 1959 with Tab Hunter and Sophia Loren. So
What movie?
I came into the business with some big people.
Yeah.
And
What was the name of the movie?
the name of the movie was That Kind of Woman, and it was shot in Long Island where I lived, and it was directed by Sidney Lumet.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. Oh,
So
wow.
did I luck out with that? Well, my brother-in-law was a producer, and he got me in. But that experience never happened again in my life.
Yeah.
Never.
So-
That was the ultimate
Yeah.
experience.
So wait, because you do both. So you do a lot of TV and you do a lot of movies. Do you have a preference of one over the other that you prefer?
Well, I'll tell you what, television is more lucrative. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, that's what everybody's been telling me lately.
yeah, I mean, obviously, in the industry, long money, as we call it, long money is when you get a series. If you're a guest star and it's a recurring role and you're going to do more than a couple of episodes, particularly if it's a network show, you're going to get a good residual package. Unless you are a lead in a film and it's a really good film, the reality is that most movie work, it's independent. Much of it doesn't see the light of day. So I think for me, I would say just pragmatically, my career is pretty much rooted in TV, and I'm happy to do film, but it's not where, it's not where I made my bones. I worked with an actor years ago, a really great actor, whose name is escaping me. And he had a lot of lean years because he intentionally said, I don't want to get typecast or ghettoized as a TV actor. I want to be a mainstream motion picture actor. So I'm turning down anything that is going to give me a TV resume. And he spent a long time kind of being poor, but it paid off for him. He became a very well-known film actor. It's a choice on a certain level that you may have to make in the industry, whether or not you want to kind of have a quicker payoff and do TV now or hold off and hope you can get a film career later.
I'm actually, I produce a lot of movies and I've been recently asked to produce some TV stuff, but I've never done it before. But everybody's telling me like if I move, more into TV, I can make a lot more money than I'm doing as a film producer. So I'm probably going to
but you're not
venture
gonna,
to guess into that.
you're not going to have the leisure life that you live now. Television is a bitch. I've done it.
The one thing I will say is that streaming has radically changed the model.
Yes.
I mean, back in the day, as you know, TV show, hour-long drama, 32 episodes, and it went to 26 episodes, and it went to 22 episodes. A streaming series may shoot 10 episodes. It may
Yeah.
only take you 4 to 5 months out of the year. The problem is it doesn't pay you much on the back end because the streaming doesn't pay residuals, and they have you under contract in a way that really kind of bones you because they're not allowing you to do other things, but they're only employing you for 5 months out of the year. So there are a lot of reasons we struck, and they have to do with the way that streaming model does not function very well for the
Something's
creators.
going to have to come. Something's going to have to happen with that soon, though.
But as you know,
Tricky.
in film, we can have a little fun. We can loosen up a little bit. Film
Yeah,
is
you're-
fun.
Yeah,
Television,
you're shooting 3 days and shooting 3 pages instead of 9 pages a day.
television, you're not going to like. On time, no. Strict law, read this, sign that. It's amazing. To do a little set, when I did whatever that show, McMillan and Wife, I think it was, one of them, the paperwork, the this and the that.
Yeah, but that was.
Oh my God. I said, what the fuck is this all about? Like, there they want a robot. When I go on a movie set, I meet everybody because, I mean, the star, of course. Oh, how do you feel about this, John? You're in the movie and the star does the scene and then goes in his dressing room and won't talk to you.
Yeah, I've had that happen a little bit. An actor who I will not name, although this was a television show, never did his turnarounds and would arrive late. He would have
You
his.
can name it. You can name it.
No, he doesn't want to name it.
No, I don't ever want to kind of like point at anybody in particular. You never know. There's somebody who's just said, I don't know. It's not-
Probably was what's his name, the one that everybody says.
Anyway, I finish this story.
Yeah.
Is it-
No, you're absolutely right. It's really, I mean, it is. It would never ever occur to me that that you should basically let down a fellow actor. You're there to give that person, as they are to give you, the best whack at the best.
Absolutely, you're in that scene for a reason.
Yeah. So no, that is
You
just hard.
happen to walk by.
I've only had that happen once or twice, and it's always been in television, never in film.
The one I'm talking about that everybody says does it, he's terrible. And we like him a lot. He's in that wonderful show, that cowboy show. Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner wouldn't talk to you if you dropped dead on the set.
Well, I mean, I definitely have had experiences where you kind of feel like the number one on TV or the lead in a movie is
No.
not to be approached. And I yes, as a human being, my feeling is always like, hey, if you're number one of the jobs is to create the tone and environment on the set where everybody can feel comfortable and relaxed. If you're not doing that, you're making it harder for other people to feel comfortable at work. And how is that a good thing?
It's done nowadays.
But having said that, let me just finish this point. Having said that, I have to project myself, like you mentioned, Betty Davis. When you're a big star and everybody wants a piece of you, I think you learn how to kind of elbow out the space you need to do your work. And it's also your number one, and you've got a really bitchy job. It's hard.
Yeah, but I was talking about relationship between fellow actors. Joan Crawford knew every cameraman, every lighting man on the set. She would play cards with them. Betty Davis, superstar, loved her crew.
Yeah.
Jane Russell loved her crew. She and Robert Mitchum, when they were making Macau, they put a blanket on the floor and they all got drunk. So with the crew.
I think that's the way to do it. I totally agree.
But that was the good manners of the stars. These little shit asses today think who the fuck they are. Like Jennifer Lopez, a good friend of ours, is a dancer. And she was in a movie with Jennifer Lopez.
Music video.
What was it?
Music video.
A music video. And they told her, do not look at Miss Lopez. Do not speak to Miss Lopez. And this girl said, I'm a fucking dancer. I'm one of her chorus girls. We don't
I mean,
care.
this is my general approach is that I always feel like until I have a personal experience with somebody, I try not to let.
No, this friend of ours is a very important lady. No.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
because the
I
thing
agree
is
with
that
what you said though, because I
No,
have a
but
lot
no-
of people. There's a lot of people that everybody always comes to me and says, "Hey, this person wasn't nice to them," and we have them on our show, and they're nice as shit.
well, that's exactly the thing is you
Well,
just
no way
don't
to do
know what the deal is with somebody when they have a shitty day, and maybe they're a shitty person and they change. I always kind of feel like what I've got is a person in front of me now, and I'm going to work with them or relate to them based on what they're giving me now.
Actually, I had a bad experience with somebody in the movie 2012. I won't say who it was, but I met him at an event and in public where I was Elton John's guest to a concert, and he was there, and he was not nice at all. But
Yeah.
I let him have it. But anyway, here's what I want to do. I want to play a real quick clip. It's only a minute
All
long,
right.
of you on Star Trek.
All
And
right.
one reason why I'm bringing it up is because it's with Robert Picardo, and we actually are doing a movie with Robert Picardo.
And
very
he
soon.
is
Now, so this wouldn't be from Star Trek. This would be from the Orville.
Oh, from the Orville, yes, from the Orville, yes.
Yep.
I love
And,
the guy. He's such a great guy. Nothing
We're doing
like
a movie
his-
with him right
Yeah.
after the Academy Awards. I
He
think we're
is
going to be
so
going
nice.
into pre-production. So I want to play this just because it's you.
But-
Now we know you and him, which we're getting ready to work with.
You know why I like him so much? He's another Italian from Brooklyn.
No, you don't know Robert Picardo. You haven't
Robert
met him
Lasado,
yet.
I'm
No,
talking-
Picardo.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Robert Lasado.
No, Robert Picardo. We're doing.
Do you know Robert Lasado?
I know Robert Picardo.
Oh, Robert Lasado is a very super big famous horror guy.
No, he's not horror.
Robert Lasado.
Now he is, but back in his career, he wasn't. He was in the Mule with Clint Eastwood. He was in Nip Tuck like you.
He is such
He's
a
guy
he's
now.
a nice guy.
Anyway, here's the
You
clip.
should
We're
know
going to
him.
play
He's
this
nice.
clip, you guys, from the Orville. Juan, go ahead and play the clip. We want to show it to everybody, and this is you. And let's enjoy it. It's only a minute long. We'll be right back.
Author of a paper first published in the Chilean Journal of Science, the Malara vaccine, and its effects on the risk of Torrens syndrome, a formal dispute. It all comes back to him.
It wasn't personal. He needed more peer review. He was wrong.
No, you were wrong. And you are going to admit that you were wrong.
To rush publication of his research.
You are
without-
going to renounce your position.
Thousands of people would have died without that vaccine.
You are going to tell the world that you lied. He was right, you were wrong, and you can't live with the guilt anymore.
This is insane. I will not go on record declaring a vaccine is dangerous when it isn't. All right. All right.
I fucking Dude, I have to tell you something. So as soon as it comes on, I said, that's Robert Picardo. And then you came on the screen. He goes, he looks familiar. I'm like, that's the guy we got on the show right now. And he starts laughing.
I'm
Jesus.
telling you, 83 it really sucks.
But I
Well, you
love
look
it.
so different without the glasses.
Well, and you got a rubber head on, you know. I mean, that's the thing. When you're wearing a rubber head, it's like I barely recognize myself.
Oh, I don't know him, but the other one looks familiar.
I love it. Okay, so I want to like go make sure we still have some time left, but I want to make sure we get in your charity work. I know that you do a charity. It's called Trek Talks. You can go to Trek Talks, TREK, like Star Trek, you guys. TrekTalks.net. It's a fundraiser that you host. I think I went on the website. I think it's been 3 times you've done it.
Yeah, so the charity itself is the Hollywood Food Coalition, which is based in Los Angeles. Although I think as a model for what other cities and communities can do, it's a good one. We basically provide a hot meal to all comers 7 nights a week. We rescue 3 million pounds of food a year, and we share it with about 150 other community groups. We augment and buttress their meal programs. And then we sit down with a lot of other food rescue organizations to figure out ways that we can collectively rescue, share more food, figure out how to get more refrigeration capacity, storage capacity, find more beneficiary groups, find more organizations that need food. So I do a lot. I've been working with them for about 8 years. We've grown the organization quite a bit. And Trek Talks is a annual telethon, 8 hours long. We have, like Jerry Lewis telethon, we have a ton of Star Trek guests. So we interview, they entertain us, they have stories and skits. And blah, 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 blah. So Hollywood Food Coalition is hofoco.org if you're interested in that. Trek Talks you can find pre-existing, the last 3 Trek Talks shows we did on YouTube. And then real quick, I also do something else. My mother passed away from pancreatic cancer.
So did mine.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So there's
She
a one.
started his husband.
Oh, it's the third, unfortunately, most lethal cancer and the fastest growing cancer in
And
America.
can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
I went to 1 million doctors from LA to New York to Florida with Sal, and every doctor said due to cigarette smoking.
Yeah, I mean, God knows there are a lot of reasons. My mom passed away at 70. She was a cigarette smoker in her youth. I think that definitely is I mean, there's
Cigarette
no
smoking.
world in which cigarette smoking is good for you.
Yes.
But the organization is called Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. On April 27th, there's a walk called Purple Stride. It takes place in 60 cities all over the country. I am part of a team that raises money called Trek Against Pancreatic Cancer. If you go to Pancreatic Cancer Action Network and you go to Purple Stride, we are right now the team leaders. We've raised more money. You can support the Purple Stride walk and our efforts to fight back against pancreatic cancer.
I love the fact that you use your celebrity for good things. I mean, and a lot of celebrities do, but I just think it's very,
And we
it's
have
very cool to do
We
that.
have to really conquer this disgusting pancreatic cancer.
Well, this is good. I want to throw out some good news, which is, yeah.
Wait. No one on this planet has ever survived from pancreatic cancer.
But you're not wrong, because Kitty Swink, who is a Star Trek alumni, is a 20-year survivor. And
Wow.
it's really
I've had it on the tip. If you
the
have,
message. Wait, no, the message is if you catch it early enough. So early detection is really important. A lot of people have symptoms that they don't realize could possibly be connected to pancreatic cancer, backaches and stomach aches. They think, screw it, I'm not going to go see a doctor. The survival rate. When my mother died in 1990, 2% survival rate is up to 13%. Which may not sound like a lot, but that's tens of thousands of people who are now living at least 5 years longer. And they are coming up with some really amazing, the medical research that is being done, which is one of the things this organization helps to support. It's really mind-blowing. I mean, I'm not a scientist, so it's hard for me to talk about it, but there is some really cool cutting-edge research. It is not a death sentence.
I love it. I think it's
well,
terrific.
I hope not, because
It's terrible disease.
20 years ago, Sal came down with it, and he died in 3 months.
Yeah, that's what happened to my mom. They from
Mom,
but,
too, 3
but
months.
also some of what's happening right now, in large part because I think this organization, the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, is doing a lot to raise awareness, is that doctors are realizing, oh, you know what? I just have automatically always thought nothing I could do. In fact, there may be more that I can do. There are more people actually beginning to really specialize in pancreatic cancer treatment. More doctors are beginning to put more time and energy into thinking about what might work than ever have before.
I think it's super. So let's go. Just tell us both of them again. One of them is
Yeah.
Hollywood Food
So the
Coalition.
easy thing is Hollywood Food Coalition, which is hofoco.org. And the other one is Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. Those are the two organizations. I mean, I do a lot of charity work helping to support other things, but those are the two kind of, two guns I really fire.
I love it.
Yeah.
Where do you get the food from?
All over the place. Grocery stores, farm-to-table programs. There's a wonderful organization called Imperfect Fruit. Basically, it's all the fruit and vegetables that are not considered to be pretty enough for the grocery stores.
Does the government supply you with any free food?
Some, but not really. I mean, there are Feeding America, which is probably the most well-known organization.
Commercial for that a lot.
Yeah, there are 200 Feeding Americas all over America, and that's where a lot of the food rescue that we know of happens. And they're great, and they're amazing, but they deal in huge quantities. The expectation is if you're getting drop-offs from Feeding America, you're getting pallets. What we try and do is recognize small neighborhood groups, that maybe like a battered women's shelter or a group that works with street kids, that need to find good food for 20 or 30 people. Feeding America isn't really designed for them. We're trying to fill that niche. In a way, what we're kind of trying to do is say through food, we're helping to rebuild on a real basic community level a tattered social safety net. It's the medium through which all social service organizations have to function. If somebody's in a drug and alcohol rehabilitation program, they got to be fed 3 good squares a day or they ain't getting the program.
Very good.
I don't know if they still do this or if they did it ever, but in New York, all the restaurants got together and instead of throwing out food, they gave it to the homeless, I believe.
And it's a really good example of where some of the problem is that to make that happen, restaurants that close at night, you have to have somebody that can come pick that food up late at night.
Right.
So you need a network of food rescuers. It needs to go somewhere. You're not going to be able to bring it to a beneficiary organization right away. So you're going to have to find a place to store it. Where's the refrigeration? Who's going to pick it up? Who's going to deliver it the next day? Et cetera, et cetera. A lot of the work is bringing groups together to collaborate to make it possible to rescue the food that's out there. 40% of the food in America gets tossed before, and it goes to landfills, which is methane. So it's also an ecological challenge. If we could stop food waste from going into landfills, it would be a big bump up.
Instead of letting the poor homeless go to the fields where the garbage is thrown and pick out food.
Yeah, and 1 in 5 American kids is food insecure, meaning that when they wake up in the morning, they may not be hungry, but they're going to worry about where's the next meal coming from, what's it going to be, is it going to be any good,
Terrible.
will there be enough? It's the richest country in the history of the world. So, yeah.
Terrible.
I want to say one last thing while we're on this subject, because the other thing that's really important to me is we also do a podcast called Trektivism, and a lot of my work is about encouraging people who are fans to bring forward the cool things they do in their communities. Because I really believe that a lot of the problem we've got right now in our politics is that we only view each other as like villains, Most people are trying to do cool things. Most people are trying to do nice things in their community. And we need to tell those stories and to get people excited about figuring out what is my volunteeristic bliss? How can I get more involved, me personally, on the ground in my city or town, starting to do things that make people feel better? That's a lot of what animates me.
I love. Boy, so how do people listen to that podcast?
It's called a Trektivism. So you can just go online and find it. Trektivism. It's like activism in Star Trek. Trektivism.
Okay, I love it.
I know how difficult it is. I was the creator and the founder of Have a Heart.
Yeah.
Have a Heart is a bunch of drag queens. We put shows on all over the country, and we raised money. Elizabeth Taylor found us, and she said, "Unite with me," and Have a Heart. We joined with the Elizabeth Taylor Foundation for AIDS Research, and I gave it up because now I couldn't work. I couldn't handle it anymore. It just got bigger than I ever thought it would be. It started off with me and 3 other drag queens, and then it went into I don't know what it went. It exploded. But the amount of time and work that you have to put into a benefit, oh my God! You don't have those hours and minutes. So who works with you?
Well, for Trek Talks, we put together a team of about 15 co-producers. The Hollywood Food Coalition, we have a staff of 27 and a full-time executive director.
You have an assistant. You
do I? No. I mean, but the thing is that I'm in a lucky place in my life. I mean, I had a nice career. I'm happy to work, but I don't need the money, and I don't necessarily want to work all the time. So I kind of have turned this into my, my later years effort. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so we only have a couple minutes left. I want to. This is something I like to ask all the actors who come on the show, and the people who listen always want to know what the answer. So, bucket list: male and female actor. You could work with anybody, living or dead.
Well, you got to say Meryl, right? I mean, everybody wants to work with
no,
Meryl.
you don't have to. Okay, hold on. Male and female, and then the second part of the question is any. If you could have ever been in any movie, or for you TV show, since you do a lot of television, any movie or TV show ever in history, what movie or TV show would you have liked to have been in?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, that's a good one.
That we get a lot. We get a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is still to me the most profoundly moving movie I've ever seen, because I think it so touches on what it is that animates all of us, the knowledge that the way we live our life, we can't see how it affects other people. But if we're living purely and we're living well, we know we're making a difference in the world, and we have to hold on to that.
I love it.
So, and Jimmy Stewart would be the other person dead. I would just love to. I just like to be around him and just hear him go, John. I mean, how could you not want to be with that guy for a while?
I'm actually named after him.
Actuality, in real life, he didn't speak that way.
Oh, really? Well, I'd like to see that too.
No, my mother was not. She was.
Oh no, Miracle on 34th
My mother
Street.
was in Miracle on 31st Street.
Oh, really?
But Jimmy Stewart. I was at Bistro Gardens, and Jimmy in Beverly Hills years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
a wonderful restaurant. And Jimmy Stewart and his wife came in, Gloria.
Gloria, yeah.
They sat a table over there. Of course, I didn't approach him, but I was eavesdropping, and he spoke. I was waiting for that. He didn't do any of that. So I think that was a put on, like Cary Grant.
Cary Grant, yeah. Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
when they established something that clicked, they kept it.
Yeah.
They didn't waste it.
Yeah.
Who else was it that I was disappointed in? Another big actor who was a James Cagney. Nothing like his film persona. Quite well spoken, enunciated, and was quite the gentleman.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm fascinated by Betty Davis, the ultimate. In real life, cursed, smoked, could inhale a cigarette and down scotch at the same time.
She turned a hose on me when I was a child, Betty Davis. I cut across her lawn in Westport, Connecticut, and she get off my lawn and turned the hose on me.
Well, that's who she was.
That's fun.
She never wore makeup. She was the furthest thing from that elegant woman you saw on screen.
Yeah.
She was
I didn't know who she was. I was a kid. It was like, who's that old bat that just turned the hose on me?
Well, Doris Day did that to my daughter.
Yeah. Oh, really?
We lived in Beverly Hills, and the children picked flowers off her front lawn.
I love it. So
And
you guys,
she caught them and sprayed them.
so you guys, please support John Billingsley.
Alan Ladd's grandchild.
Oh, we watch a lot of Alan Matalou.
And my daughter played together. Alan, what was his name? The kid, Ladd, Cheryl Ladd's kid.
Yeah.
Daughter or son. Anyway, whatever it was. So I said to her, that was my daughter and Cheryl Ladd's child, and she would.
Anyway,
we got another guest, so I'll let you.
I
say
wanted to say thank you so much. I really am. I really enjoy your work. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for all the great work that you're actually doing for the world to help your communities.
It's very
very honorable, and I really like it a lot.
You know what? For all the energy that you put into this, believe me when I tell you, you get back what you give.
I believe you. I think that is very true.
So if you do good, you're going to get back good.
And if anything big's coming up that you got,
and
any
you're
big
going to
shows,
win an
let
Oscar.
Let me know, and we'll bring you back on anytime. And actually, I'm going to put you on because I'm producing 9 films right now. If we have anything really juicy that might be good, I'll give you a little message and see if you might be interested.
You're going to win an Oscar, and I'm going to be in your movie, and you're going to be the star. And you're going to go in your dressing room and ignore me, and I'm going to beat the fucking shit out of you.
Wow, we better get on that. Given our ages, we better push. That's going to have to happen pretty fucking fast. Is all I
John, thank you so much.
John, you're
Enjoy
terrific.
yourself. Thank you so
I would
much.
like to work with you.
Absolutely.
I think it would be fun.
All right,
You're
bye-bye.
welcome.
Thank you.
Never know. You never know.
You never know.
Take
Bye,
good
guys.
care, John.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody.
Good guy.
So that was John Billingsley. We'll have fun.
Nice guy, good guy.
We're going to take a quick music break and play Stefano, Why I'm Here, and then we'll be back with our second guest, William Perry.
Oh.
Take it away, Juan.
Reflection in the mirror. Try to be strong, but nothing's clear. It's been a long day, yeah, it's been a long year. Ma keeps calling, saying, listen here. Kick them doors open, your kingdom will come. Don't lose hope, son, stay full of love. So I drown my fears and I swam to change. Now watch me run through the pouring rain. This is why I'm here. This is what I'm here for. Stop doing things I don't wanna do. Guess it's cool, cause it brought me to you on this windy road. Yeah, friends come and go, but I got you here now and you're all I know. You wake me up, you hold me down, you never leave, you are my crown. There's no question, It's crystal clear. Now I know this is why I'm here. This is what I'm here for. This is why I'm here. Oh, this is what I'm here for. This is why I'm here. Yeah, this is what I'm here for. This is why I'm here. Yeah, this is what I'm here for. Oh, this is why I'm here. Oh, this is what I'm here for. This is why I'm here. This is what I'm here for. This is what This is why I'm here. Yeah, what I'm here for. Reflection in the mirror. Try to be strong, but nothing's clear. It's been a long day. It's been a long year. Now I know this is why I'm here.
Yay, everybody. All right, now we're back on. Look, our guest is already here.
Here I am. What a lovely song that was. Oh my gosh. You guys gotta make me cry with your intro music.
So that is actually a good friend of ours, Stefano, and he was on American Idol season 7, I think. And actually, we have the winner of season 17 coming on in like 2 weeks. But let me do an intro
But
for
wait,
you.
you say something.
Go crazy.
What he just sang, I don't care for that song. I have been in his company where the piano was playing and he was singing, and he was brilliant.
He's a brilliant singer. I love that song. We disagree. I love that song.
I don't like all the mechanics in the song. I don't like the screaming. I don't like the woo.
I love it. I love it. I
That's
think
not,
it's,
if you hear
he doesn't like Mariah Carey or Christina Aguilera or any of those
No.
people either.
Well, the
because they all
sentiment,
do that.
it's the sentiment of this song that got me. This is what I'm here
Yes,
for. I love
sentiment
it.
is fabulous.
yeah, that's not.
Beautiful.
All right, hang on, everybody. Now we want to
Yeah,
welcome.
who the hell am I anyway?
Now we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, actor, stuntman, author William R. Perry. Hello and welcome to the show!
How's
Yay!
it going, guys? Thanks. It's good to
And
be
it's-
here.
And it's so funny because first of all, this is my cool, outrageous man about co-host Ron Russell.
Hi.
Hello.
We already know each other.
Yes,
We're roommates.
and we have a few people in the chat room. Give a shout out to the chat room.
Shout out in the chat room.
There you
Hey,
go. I
everybody.
love it. Look at you. He's got a mic and everything. You must do this a lot.
I do audiobooks, and so I got some decent mics.
Oh, there you
you
go.
do an audio book?
Yeah, I've got I've
Do
done a
you
couple
know-
of my own, but I also have done about 30 others for other people.
Do you know a friend of mine? The queen of audiobook, Barbara Rosenblatt.
I know the name, but not. I mean, I the only person I know in this is the guy that taught me how to do it.
He's got more awards than anyone. She did Barbara Streisand's life story book. Barbara Rosenblatt is probably she does the whole book, all the characters with different voices.
Do you do that too,
Do you?
or do you just?
Yeah,
do
I did a 7-book series. He called it a space opera, and there was 35 characters and 35 hours, and different voices and different genders and different. And it's actually a really fun thing to do as an actor, because it's like the longest cold read you ever had in your whole life. You know, because I don't read them first. It takes too long.
I was meeting her for lunch in New York, and I went to the studio, and she's in this little glass booth, size of 1 by 1, and suddenly I hear this man. Oh no! Don't do that. Why not? I want. I thought, holy shit!
It's tricky because you have to be able to distinguish.
I love it.
You got to know who's talking. It's not even just the voice, but because the book doesn't always say "said Bill," you know, it just it changes. You
gotta remember which voice you do. If you do 35 voices, you got to remember which voice you did for which character.
They have a script.
I keep a picture on the wall of the people they remind me of, that way I'll go, well, he kind of reminds me of James Doohan from Star Trek. So, and I don't do a James Doohan impression. It's just, it helps me to click into who it is. So if it sounds like James Doohan, it's lucky, but not.
So give us, I think audiobooks are the greatest thing since Carvel ice cream.
Does that still exist?
Yes.
I think they still sell.
I don't know.
Because you can be driving and listening. You could be cleaning a house, and they're wonderful.
I don't think.
Hang on. Give us some titles that we could know you from.
Well, just because you mentioned it, I have.
You just happen to have
I'm a total sellout. I'm sorry. I have a book called "By His Hand" that I did. By His Hand. And then the sequel is called Out of His Mind. And they're 2 short novels. But I've done a bunch of novels for a place called Red Cape Publishing in the UK. And it's called The A to Z of Horror. And so it's 13 stories by 13 different authors from all over the world. And they're amazing. Such good stuff. But you'll do a book on exorcisms. So we got 13 stories about exorcism. So how many exorcism voices do you got? It's like you start talking like this for a while. And you're like, no, that's not going to work. I already did that. One of my favorites was the guy said, you always think your demonic voice is going to sound like The Exorcist, but it just sounded like me. I'm like, oh, thank you. That's going to save my throat for the next hours. I don't have to do some screechy, scratchy, demonic thing.
Actually, let's talk about your. First of all, to go back to Carvel, I don't know if they actually have Carvel like Dairy Queens anymore, like they used to. But if you go to the grocery store, you can buy Carvel like ice cream cakes and stuff. Of which they used
that guy that did the commercials. He talked like, "This is Fudgy the Whale." Remember the commercials from way back?
I love it.
When I lived in New York, we had a Carvel stand, and it was 15 cents for a big Carvel ice cream. 15 cents. Could you?
Do they have an ice block in that? I'm just curious because it sounds like it's a while back.
Yeah,
they have ice back then.
Yes, it was
still warm back then.
This is back. I think it opened in 1955.
So the dinosaurs were pretty much long gone.
No, actually,
did you hear what he said? He said dinosaurs were long gone by then.
No, I think it opened earlier than that. I think I was about 10. So it opened in 1950 because I'm 83. So I go back a long way.
I love damn good for 83. I'll give you that.
Huh?
Oh, and he still works all the time.
No, I wanted to say something to you now. Oh, yes. The reason that I love audiobooks so much is because I'm from the day of the radio. And the radio in a sanctum, open the door to in a sanctum, and we get scared stiff. And audiobooks do the same thing. If you put one on and you're in the dark in your bed, and you have a spooky, it's far greater than a movie because your imagination is doing it, right?
True.
So I suggest people you get his audiobooks.
There's a great app called Chilling. It's called the Chilling app. And it's nothing but it's like Spotify, but it's all just scary stories and scary short films. If you're into scary, it's awesome. I've got both of my books are on there, but it's thousands of hours of stuff. So anybody that's really into spooky and just wants to listen to it like sort of old time radio, Chilling app rocks. I don't get anything for saying that. They're just really cool people. And it's a great app.
Before let's just go back to your books real quick. One of them came out in 2023 called By His Hand. The other one just came out recently, and you had a signing this weekend at Dark Delicacies. How'd it go?
It was awesome. I haven't done one of those before. I didn't get into I never had a dream of being a writer, but I had this terrible nightmare about 2 years ago, and I wrote it down just because it was so freaking scary. And I sent it to my publisher as a little synopsis, and he says, Jesus, that's scary. And I said, well, you read a lot of scary stuff. That's kind of a compliment. And he says, do you want to write it? And I said, oh, I'm no writer. And he said, well, I'll do it. And so about a month later, I checked in with him, and he said, I haven't started. I said, I'm going to take a swing. And I wrote it, and I just expected I would get dozens of pages of horrible notes. I'd be massively discouraged, and I'd never pick up my pen again. And he said, no, it's really good. I'm going to change 3 commas. Shit, you want to launch next month? I'm like, you can do that in a month? And he said, yeah. I'm like, are you really going to do this? And he said, do you want to? I said, well, of course I do. But I just didn't expect that. And so the second book occurs exactly 1 year after the first, and it launched exactly 1 year after the first. And it's a continuation of the story. And any good story is 100 times more like a great sequel to a great movie is more intense, it's bigger, it's badder, it's scarier, it's whatever. And so that's kind of what I attempted to do with it, and it's getting really good, good reviews. I'm getting
So did you do the audiobook already for the second one?
Yeah, I did the audiobook for both of them. Yeah, I mean, I've got the gear, and who's going to know the story better than me? And the only thing that happened, these stories are very, very sad in a way. And so I found that the first time I read it, I got so choked up the way I did when I wrote it that it was like, no, this is over. This is too much. So I did it again. They're like, no, that's too easy. That sounds too bland. Then I had to do it again to try to get just that mixture of intensity, but I still have to be the reader. I still have to sort of set myself aside just a little bit and let the other people talk. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, but it's a lot of fun. I think it's sort of a better book than it is a better audio book than it is a book, because you were saying you get the pictures in your mind, but I think a voice that really brings it to life, gives you a little extra.
No,
So you got to turn them into movies.
My friend Barbara Rosenblatt, who is the queen of audiobook, said to me, Ron, thank God for audiobooks, because that's my future. Otherwise, I would starve to death.
Yeah.
But really, do you feel the same?
No, yeah. I mean, I've done about 30 plus books now.
So you're making a lot of money.
Yeah, it's not huge, but it's something I really enjoy doing it. I can do it at 2 a.m, whatever makes sense to me. And when I'm done, I listen to them and I think, yeah, I'd listen to that. That's a good book, So it's a lot of fun. And it's I'm actually writing a screenplay for this one. I've had a couple different people ask me, in a graphic novel probably to come as well. And it's very different to write screenplay versus book, as you guys would know. In a book you can say he thought, but if you don't see it, didn't hear it, didn't say it, in a screenplay, nobody knows it happened for the most part. So it's been a really fun writing challenge, and I actually think the screenplay is better just because I can tell it in a different way. I can take things out of order, and I can spook you, and I can throw you off on a red herring and play around with your brain a little bit, and shock you and disturb you. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing it come into something. If that's
I love it. I love films based on book. Like a lot of times, because I'm a publicist, but I also produce a lot of stuff, and I always tell people, it's very cool to produce stuff after it's coming out based on a book. It also makes you look bigger.
It sounds like a thriller rather than a chopper.
Yeah, no, it's not a chop up at all. In fact, there's probably, I was actually thinking about it, maybe 2 scenes of any sort of real mayhem. But the review I get the most, and it's particularly from people who have children, because this story is about me and my family and my friends in this horrible situation, and people I care about suffer. And so as I'm writing it, I don't want to imagine these things anymore, especially in the detail that I had to do. And my friends read it and said, oh my gosh, Bill, I mean, how do you even write about that? I had to stop. It's a really short book, but he said, I had to stop because I was so kind of overwhelmed with emotion.
By his hand.
By his hand.
Our audiences don't know what we're talking about sometimes. Hold up, William, hold that steady up to the camera.
Sure. It's on Amazon, and it's on all the different platforms.
By his hand. Interesting title.
Yeah, and you'll see on the cover there's like sort of a bloody hand.
Bloody hand.
I'll only tell you that the reason he's doing that, it's the letter R.
The letter what?
R.
The letter R. And what happened? And what it's based on, I have arthritis really bad in my hands, my neck, and all these places. And I woke up one morning and my hand was kind of gnarled like this. And I looked at it and I recognized that's an R in American Sign Language. And the dream that I had starts with that, and it starts to move all by itself. And a friend of mine that is at church, and he's just been, well, put your hand up. I don't understand what you're trying to say. I said, what are you talking about? He's like, no, you got to lift your elbow, because and you shouldn't be spelling it. There's a gesture. What are you talking about? And I'm spelling? He goes, yeah, you're not doing it real well, but you're doing it. Like, I'm not doing that. And so that's where the book takes off, and it gets freakier, it gets scarier, it gets terribly, terribly sad in a couple of places. Not your typical slasher. And my favorite thing about it that people tell me is it's original. It's not based on anything. It's not a rehash. It's not a reboot. It's not, and that's, to me, that's the mark of my.
Nothing. It has
That couldn't be
nothing,
better. That's a no better review than to say it's at least original.
Yes,
So
that's
it
terrific.
so it has nothing to do with the movie The Hand with
No.
with Andrea King and Peter Lorre.
Or this hand, the Freddy Krueger hand as well. I got his.
Okay.
But a lot of hands in my life.
So,
I had a
Ham,
hand in that.
I want to brag a little bit for you first, so everybody kind of knows who you are. So, you guys, these are the films that William R. Perry has worked on. First of all, the TV show Star Trek: The Next Generation, which is kind of cool since our last guest, with Star Trek. And I want to say too, like we had Lee Waddell on last week, and I read on your website, which is WilliamPerryStunts.com, how you guys are really good friends. He was a great guest, and he's phenomenal. So we have A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, The Lost Boys, The Monster Squad, Return of the Living Dead 2, Tapeheads, License to Drive, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Predator 2, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, one of my all-time favorite movies, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, The People Under the Stairs, Hook, Poison Ivy, and Newsies, and A Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, which I think I already mentioned. But so my first
quite
thing
a list.
I want to talk about. So I'm a big horror movie fan, obviously, and I have all the action figures and everything that you could want. But my favorite of all the Nightmare on Elm Street is Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. I'm really good friends with Jennifer Rubin, and she's been on the show a bunch of times, and we go to red carpet events with her. And so I want to know something from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, just because that's my favorite out of all of them. And to give you so Ron doesn't really like horror movies, but we had Wiss. We had Amanda Wiss on our show years ago, and we were talking about horror movies, and he didn't know which one it was, and he was like, as long as you're not the girl who the blades come up and take through the bed and kill her, and she starts laughing, she's like, yeah, that's me, and he had no idea. But
well, I can tell you my favorite very blue story of Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Okay.
So we're doing the movie, and there's a scene where Freddy is this massive snake, and he's this big, and he's chomping up Patricia Arquette. Well, they film it backwards so that basically they can put her inside, and then they kind of chomp backward, then they show it in reverse. So we're looking at this and kind of watching this, and there a giggle starts to make its way around the set, and it's getting louder and it's getting louder because the joke is making its way from the lighting guys to everybody around, and finally the director Chuck Russell goes, "All right, what is so fucking funny?" And the place goes quiet, and he says, and the big Freddy head looks like a penis, just like a penis, and somebody says. I don't know where it came from. Nobody wanted to admit to it. He says, well, that's the first time I ever saw a penis eat a girl to get into a movie.
Which is so much fun.
And the place breaks up. And of course, now we're a bunch of 7th grade kids. And he's saying, all right, that's it. No more laughter. And of course, now you can't stop. And so he says, and somebody go get some funk to put on the damn thing so it doesn't look so much like a dick. And that was it. We couldn't stop. He goes, if you guys can't stop laughing, I want you to go outside. And okay. And so we'd go outside. And every time we'd step back in, we'd see that stupid thing. And we'd start laughing again. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But think of it as being bright pink and veiny. It was just, I don't know who could have created that and not seen what they had done. But
I think that's hilarious. I love the movie. And
maybe it was intentional.
Could be, there is horror always has kind of a, erotic kind of element to it. And I also worked with Wes Craven for a while too. I was his web developer, and I did 3 different shows with him. And, he was very analytical about these films. And he'd say, the reason you get the red and green stripes is because you can see it from far away. It's Freddy even if he's, kind of shape shifted. And he was very analytical. So if somebody made that into a penis, well, somebody had an idea that there was a little more eroticism necessary in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
So you guys too, you can follow William Perry on Instagram. His Instagram is Webs Craven. So WEBSCRAVEN. Wes Craven, such an icon.
Yeah.
I read all the stuff on your website this morning because I knew you were coming on. So actually, you guys should go to WilliamPerryStunts.com and read some of the stuff about the way you got to work with Wes Craven, because that was super cool. So you did 3 Freddy Krueger movies, but you actually in some of them, you actually are Freddy Krueger, right?
No. I'm always his victim.
Oh, you're always the victim. Okay.
Yeah, the reason that I got so much of the work that you were talking about is I'm a little guy. I'm like 5'6", weighed about 120 pounds at the time, arms like a 9-year-old girl. And so they needed stunt guys because the Twilight Zone accident had happened back then.
Yes.
And so they said, no more kids on set if they don't have to be. And so I had these little skinny arms, and this stunt coordinator said to me, I've got this kid and he looks just like you. And most of the stunt guys had, real big, thick arms because they were gymnasts originally. And so they, they were, really just broad shouldered but they were short. And they said, no, you can really double kids. And that really works. And so it wasn't really my goal at the time. I wanted to be more of an actor, but my agent's like, you're too damn short, And I said, yeah, what am I, like quarter-inch shorter than Tom Cruise? And so and so I said, well, okay. And so when this guy offered me a stunt job, I was like, well, we'll do one. And then he's like, no, gosh, there's nobody, or very few people your height and weight in the industry, and you could do a lot of shows. And so I did Newsies and, a lot of shows where they were kids. I did the Wonder Years. I mean, there's not a lot of stunts on the Wonder Years, and there's not a lot of stunts on Star Trek, but because the kid that I was doubling, Will Wheaton, who's now 9 foot tall, stay away from milk. You could have helped me. But it was there was just a lot of work to do, and there wasn't so much competition. Lee, who's been my friend since we were little kids, he's 5'11", 180 pounds, just like every other stunt guy in town. And so he's competing against 200 people. I'm competing against 3, maybe 4. And so there was a lot of work. We were slashing up teenagers, left and right in every movie made in 1980 through 90. And so there was just a lot of work, and it was really fun. If you tell somebody you're an actor, they go, really, what restaurant? If you tell them if you tell the girl you're a stunt man, you can just hear their, panties fall to the ground and in a wet splash. And you go, yeah, that's me. Yes, I'm terribly studly.
We're actually friends with like a lot of people who are always the creature. Like Douglas Tate's a friend of ours, you might know.
Yeah,
Doug Jones. We're doing a movie with Doug Jones, getting ready to start soon. And so let's talk about The Lost. So The Lost Boys is one of my top 5 films of all time. I was very, very good friends with Brooke McCarter and Corey Haim. Jamison Newlander's been on the show, and he's actually coming on again in like 2 weeks. So how was working on The Lost Boys? Because really, that's like my favorite movie. That and Pretty Woman are like my 2 favorite movies.
Yeah, Corey Haim was the kid that I doubled probably more in Lost Boys and in License to Drive.
License to Drive, yeah.
And just really nice kid. Very sweet, very not affected by his fame the way a lot of kids I would run into would be. Pretty down to earth. He was having the best time. I mean, we were all having the best time. Somebody asked me the other day, if you had to watch one of your movies over and over, it's like Lost Boys. Well, you had that in the chamber, didn't you? It's like, it's one of my favorite films just anyway. And it was cool. And it was, everybody was good looking, and the vampires were sexy, and the music was great. And the actors were great. I mean, Diane Wiest, you got all these just amazing people, so many good people in the show. And it was just a great script, a great shoot. It was fun. It was funny. And you just knew you were making a really cool movie, and
pretty much
you don't always know that. Sometimes you look at this and go, ugh, you see him walking by with, 2, pitchers of blood, and you're like, well, I guess that Academy Award's not going to be this year, so this one you look at, Kiefer Sutherland was awesome. All the others, just too good.
Billy Wirth, we see at a lot of events in LA. Do you live in LA?
I do live in LA. Yeah.
Okay, you live in LA. So
like more a little towards Ventura, but up in the area.
I love it though. I think it's fantastic. So I took a video off of your YouTube channel. It's titled William R. Perry Stuntman. It's not very long. I thought we would play it for everybody. So hang on, just so people can see some of the stuff that you've done. How about you introduce it, Juan, then play the one that says William R. Perry Stuntman, and then we'll be right back.
Now, set your expectations very low, people. I was doubling kids. Let's keep it down here. Keep it maybe even below screen. Fire away. It occurs
So how
to me,
was
I missed some really good stuff. I didn't put the first stunt from when I come out the bus window. Got to go back and fix it.
actually though? What's the and you need to put the when you bust out. So I'm really good friends with Jan Birch and his wife and Sean Whalen. And so you guys, he was also in The People Under the Stairs, and you're the guy who breaks out, right? Yeah, there you go. You're the one who breaks out, like
Yeah,
breaks
and
out.
I'm doing a show with those guys in September in Maryland, actually, with Sean and Jan, and so looking forward to. I haven't seen him since, and
I love that movie. It's
you want to
such a
sit down with sit down with mom and have a meal.
Yeah.
Jan is a
If
great.
you know the movie, you know why that's.
Yes, I know he doesn't, but yes, Jan is
doesn't.
great. Jan's a great guy.
We
So
love Jan.
how was working with Macaulay Culkin? Because when you worked with him, I mean, he was the biggest. Well, he's probably the biggest child star ever, anyway. But he was like the biggest star ever, in the
Well,
second.
yeah, he was about 4'6". That's pretty big. No, at that time, it was interesting. His parents were around, and of course, there's all sorts of, books written and things written about his parents, and he just seemed like he was having fun. But it's difficult for any kid, and I experienced this a lot with kids because of my work with them. Is that they're put into a adult place, adult conversation, not meaning like racy, but they're expected to live in an adult world, and not a lot of kids can do that. You have to be very mature, very young, because people are working. It's $25,000 an hour to make a movie, and there's no goofing off, kid. So I really kind of felt sorry for him because he was so young, and this, whole film is basically, hanging on him and Joe Pesci, and, and so it's a lot of pressure, and you have to be, you get thrust into this adult world where conversations aren't very childlike. And, so I think, when I worked with him, I was sort of very, I just felt like, I'm really good with kids. I got a couple of kids myself, and I really just thought, gosh, why don't we just go take them out and just go skateboarding or something? Give them a chance to do something fun for a little bit, let him be a kid for a little bit. And it didn't seem like he got much chance. And he was, he worked so much. He was just doing one film after the next. And so when people will talk about he or, some other, child star being kind of odd, it's like, yeah, you don't know what you don't know the youth that they've had. It sounds great. They're making $100,000 a week or whatever, but they're not spending that money. They don't even understand what it is.
I think it's a lot of work. I think it's, one thing I have to say, because I follow Macaulay Culkin on all my social media, and maybe he had some difficult years and everything, but he's really cleaned up well. He's got a wife, he's got a baby, he's doing really, really well. And I would only wish, the best. I mean, he kept everybody entertained, and there's really,
yeah.
like Temple, I can't even think of a star that's bigger, was bigger than Macaulay Culkin.
Oh yeah, and the movies are fun. They show those. They're holiday movies, so they show them over and over and over. And I watch them, and I see myself, flop on it. As I watched the clip on the screen there, I was recognizing how much my spine hurts doing the fall. We did that fall onto an actual, marble floor. Yeah, marble floor.
It looked like it was on a real floor.
How many times?
Yeah, and not a lot of padding, So yeah, every time I watch it, I go, "Oh my God, that looked like that hurt." Oh yes, it did.
Again.
Yeah. How many times did they shoot that scene?
Just that scene was just twice. One that's similar to it is we did something for Nightmare 6 where the kid falls out a window and he lands on the ground. And the idea was the kid falls out the window and he falls from an upper floor window and he smacks to the ground. And then the actual actor would stand up and go into camera and they would run to Freddy's house. Well, the Steadicam guy was kind of struggling to get the shot just the way they wanted. It wasn't my fault, but we did it 8 times and there was no pads. 7-foot ladder onto concrete. And it was in the middle of the night and it was about 25 degrees that night. Never gets that cold hardly ever in LA, but it was super, super cold that night. I'm in bare feet, a t-shirt and skinny jeans. Yeah. And I just remember looking at the stunt coordinator and he turns to the director and says, "We can't just keep doing this." And he's like, "Well, how many more has he got?" And he said, "I'll tell you if he's got another one after the next one." And he says, "And from now on, they're $500 a piece." I was like, thank you.
That's what they have to
And,
do.
but I think we did it 8 times. And I came home, I was a bruised, greenish black mall. Just everything was so just completely smashed. And I remember my wife at the time, she turned to me and she says, that's wrong, honey. They can't do this to you. I said, I made $8,000 tonight. She goes, we're getting a new couch. Like, wow, let me get you a bag of ice. You go lay down on that old scraggly couch we got. We'll be replacing that shortly. So you recognize after a while, really, it is the job. If you were a football player and you came home with some, bumps and bruises, you'd go, well, dude.
Because I was going to say, every time you have to do it, it's $500 more.
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. Plus you get your daily rate, which at the time was about $1,000 a day. And then if you go overtime, your overtime is based on how much you made for the day, plus all the stunt adjustments. So, you could max out, I think at the time it was $350 an hour. So if somebody says, oh, we're going long, nobody was groaning.
Yes.
Everybody.
I was friends with Burt Reynolds, and we talked a lot, and I know about his career. And I said to him, do you miss doing stunts? He said, no, I miss the money. He said, because when I did them, I was broke. And he said, and I deliberately kept not doing it correctly. So they would say, another shot, another 5, another shot, another 5.
Yeah. I don't think I ever purposefully did, but I would say that there were times when it didn't go the way it was supposed to. I was just glad it wasn't my fault. Or if it was my fault, I'm glad nobody said anything. But yeah, when you get to do, like we did a stunt where I had to go through a window of a bus as it's rolling down the street, and I land on a follow vehicle, and I went through the window and pieces of glass just stuck in me like a pincushion. And I remember pulling it out, and in fact, Lee was on the set that day, and he took some crazy glue and he, kind of glued me back together. And he's like, you're going again, but you got to get that, you got to stop bleeding. I'm like, sorry, am I getting it on the outfit? He's like, no, you're bleeding to death. That's probably the more important thing. Like, no, I can't get it on the wardrobe. Wardrobe. Oh no.
Have you ever really hurt yourself though? Have you ever really been hurt?
No, but he had.
You saw actually the only injury that I ever sustained in the Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. We fall through the ceiling.
Yes.
And as we hit the ground, they took plywood and they would put it on top of Dixie cups. And so when everybody lands, all the cups would smash and it would be a much softer landing. Pretty inventive stuff, except if you don't weigh enough to break the cups. So I land and I was, trying to tuck so we could get it. And my own knees got me in the nose.
Oh, wow.
Just cleaned me out. Like, I've been punched before, not like that. And I remember just feeling everything moving. And I like, if you'll excuse me, I think I have, something in my eye, and I'm racing into the bathroom. Are we going again? No. Yay. Okay, well, I'll see you guys. I didn't want to tell anybody that I got hurt.
I was at a party years ago in Hollywood, of course, and there was this lovely red-headed woman with beautiful fire red hair. And I had no idea who she was. It was Elvira. She wore a black wig. I never knew that. She looked vaguely familiar, but with the bangs and the hair hanging, fire red hair.
Oh, and just the kindest.
Very nice lady, Elvira.
Oh, it's just the nicest person ever. Really, really sweet. It's so funny. She's not funny because they write her good lines. She's funny.
Yeah, she's fabulous.
It was a gay party, and she loved the gay guys, and the gay guys loved her.
She's a lesbian.
Yeah,
that's
my understanding.
Yes,
I thought so.
I actually know her because I went to dinner
for us heterosexuals. I got to be honest with you.
No, I thought she was a lesbian.
I was at Scream Fest, and I was in really good with all. I used to be a celebrity clothing designer, and I would give everybody free clothes, and then they would come on the podcast and stuff. And so I went to dinner with her and Gary Busey and a bunch of people when we were there.
She's a very nice girl.
And you also worked in a Gary Busey film because you did stunts in Predator 2, which we just had Robert Davi on the show, like, I don't know, maybe a month ago for the second time.
Yeah. I actually had a character in that very, very briefly. I'm a gang leader because I look like gang. You see this look and you go,
right. Yeah,
he's street. Watch out for that guy. Cross the street. Bill Perry's coming. Yeah, but yeah, we did a scene, and I didn't actually get to work with Gary in person. I get to work with Bill Paxton, who's also one of my
Great.
very favorite people in the world, nicest person ever, God rest his soul. And that was just my first time on camera. You know, I go to the movie theater, I'm 80 feet across. There is a thrill there that you just cannot know any other way. I remember seeing it was everything I dreamt about from the time I was a little kid. I wanted to be in movies so bad, and there I am, up there 80 feet across for, 30 seconds, my 30 seconds of fame.
And
But that's nothing more fun than that. Too good.
I won't watch a movie I'm in.
Yeah, he doesn't like to watch himself.
Never watch myself.
Really?
Never watch myself.
He'll go to the red carpet, but then he won't pay attention when he comes on the screen, really.
Gosh, to me,
No.
now, I mean, there's some movies I've done who will remain nameless that I was not a big fan of. But, I kind of look at them and go, it was a great time,
William, let me explain it this way. When you reach 83 years old, are you
I
going to
hope
be
I do.
happy? You will. Are you going to be happy about watching yourself on the screen? I don't think so. I asked Jane Russell, Jane, now that you're 80, at that time, 5, how does it feel that you're not what you were once? And she looked at me, she said, how the hell do you think I feel, Ron?
It is a pretty obvious question. I won't say it's a stupid question.
So
but,
me seeing myself on screen, I say, that's not what I look like in person.
well, I see some old pictures of myself back in the day, and I was a good-looking kid. And I remember I went to an agent, and he says, Bill, I think we got some great work to do together. And I said, great. And we stand up, and he goes, Jesus Christ, how short are you? And I said, I'm 5'6", and he goes, you don't look short in your headshot.
How can you?
And I said, well, my stats are on the resume, And he goes, well, I can't work with you. You're too short. He says, you're really good looking, though. It's too bad. Thanks for coming in. Bye. And I remember being fairly crushed by that, But at the time, when you just bounce back, or you either quit or you bounce back. And when the stunt thing happened, it was like, this is fine. This is good. I still get to be in movies. I'm happy.
Well, I love it. I think you guys have such cool jobs. I could never do it. When you did Don't Tell Mom, so Keith Coogan and Daniel Harris is a friend of mine, and Keith Coogan's been on the show. So I was always one of my favorite movies growing up, because for about 15 years I was a clothing designer, and that's actually how I got that's how I started the show. Is I would go to conventions, give the stars clothes, and become friends with them, and then they would come on the show. And that's how I built this show at the very beginning. So, we were only on the air for not even 6 months, and I had Malcolm McDowell, Lance Henriksen, Clyde Barker, all these huge people, on the show.
But his ratings were only maybe 5,000 viewers.
No, they weren't. We had 1 million.
And then I came on the show, and it went to 5 million.
Is that when it took off? When it was you? It's all about you.
We did. We're right now. We're like the top 100 podcasts in 12 countries. Or something.
Yeah, I love that. There's people seeing me I don't even know.
Yes, they won't know who you
5
are.
million people. 5 million.
Nice. Hi, everybody.
Are watching you right now.
No, not now, but in syndication.
Well, yeah,
over the course of time.
Oh,
that's awesome. This is so much fun.
How was Don't Tell Mom, The Babysitter's Dead, though? It's such a great movie. Everybody in it, kind of actually became somebody.
Before, I wanted to ask him about. I think I saw that movie and I liked it. Out of all the shit.
Yeah, I doubled Keith, actually. You mentioned Keith.
Oh, did you really?
It was a movie.
Hang on. Wait, I want to hear double Keith Coogan.
Yeah, but my greatest memory of that was Christina Applegate.
Fabulous.
She was quite the star at that time. And I just remember I sat down to have lunch, and she came over and she sat with me, and she just, so how you doing today? And I was like, I'm not
Isn't that cool?
I'm not supposed to be talking to her, I don't think. She's the star, avert your gaze. And she wasn't that way at all, and then the day that we did that, I had it was my last day, and she said, well, you'll be back tomorrow. And I said, no. And she goes, well, it's been such a pleasure to meet you. And just couldn't have been nicer. And I just remember thinking, most people that are carrying a film have a lot of pressure on them, and they're not usually super chill. And she was, and of course, she's gorgeous, and I was like,
fabulous. She's fabulous, and we actually had her ex-husband, Jonathan Sheck, who's been on before, but we just had him on a couple of weeks ago. What are you looking for? What was
a movie that he's in? that I wanted to talk about, and now I can't find the friggin' movie.
License to Drive.
No,
Take a
it was
Piss,
something that from
Return of the Living Dead.
I think it was a remake of something from my day.
Return of the Living Dead.
Maybe that.
Remake. I don't know if I did any remakes.
Funny because we have Tom Matthews coming on next week, and he was in Return of the Living Dead.
Yes, he was, and 1 and 2, and I was in 2. I was a zombie child, if you can imagine.
There you go. Oh, that's
Best thing ever, you know. But if you ever get to be a stuntman, and I'm sure you will in your career, it's coming for you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
But you want to be a zombie because zombies never die. So if you're a stuntman and a zombie, hey, run me over with a truck, throw me off a building, electrocute me, do whatever you want. I'm coming back tomorrow.
Yeah, that's good. So you get paid.
No, I was in a movie where I was supposed to do a stunt, and the rat that was eating us was the size of a Volkswagen. It was an enormous prop.
So this is in New York.
No, this is here. So,
that was witty, though.
the rat was supposed to grab me, throw me against the door. I fall down, and the rat grabs my arm and pulls me across the room, and my arm tears off.
As they do.
Well, now I'm about 80, I think, when we're shooting this, maybe 79.
No, 80.
80. And somebody came running over and said, "You can't do that. You have to have we don't have a stunt person here, but you're too old to do that because you could be injured." So I agreed. So what they did was they made me go down in the basement, and the rat runs up with my arm, and you identify it by the wristwatch. So I was spared being knocked around. To be quite frank, I didn't think I could do it.
You know what? I'll tell you, when people ask me, they say, "Oh, I could be a stuntman. I'm fearless." It's like, you know what? The idea of being fearless is the worst thing you could have, because that means you're not looking out for all the things that could possibly hurt you. And I would always, whenever an actor would say, "Well, I could do it," it's like, you could, but if you even get the tiniest little scratch on your face, we got to wait until that clears up, or we can cover it with makeup or whatever. You know what? Let me do it. I'll make you look good. I promise. You know, and you know, because I did come away with bruises. I did come away with lumps on the head. I did come away with concussions and broken wrist, broken nose, you know, things like that. If that was the actor, if that was the actual actor, then that means he stops filming, and who knows if the whole production has to grind to a halt. So it's like, nah, just, you know, let the stunt guy do his thing. It's somebody else gets a job. You know, you're putting somebody out of work if you do it all yourself.
Are you still doing stunt work now?
No, I gave up on stunt work, gosh, about 25 years ago. Wow, am I old? When my kids were born, it wasn't so much about the getting knocked around as it's a difficult job to keep, to feed a family on. You know, the difference between a pizza and a stunt man is a pizza can feed a family of 4. And so at that time, it was like, you know what, at 35, it was about time anyway. It's tough to get that kind of damage all the time. And I had gotten into doing web development. And at that time, Wes Craven was looking for a website. And so I built his website. And then People Magazine said, "Oh my gosh, this is one of the best websites we've ever seen." And they talked about it in the magazine. And then I was in demand, and it was easy to transition over to another line of work because the money was really, really good. And it was really fun to do. And it's really creative. So that was a nice transition. Wes Craven was actually my first employer, my first stunt job. And then he was my first web job. So
I love it.
Wes, thank you very much.
For 1 minute.
Was it hard getting insured?
No, it's all covered by pension and health and all that sort of stuff. Because, you know, you're on a set, and I never really got hurt that much that I ever needed it. You know, I was young and invincible. Now, God, I'd love to have that coverage now.
So everybody, this is William R. Perry. Follow him at Webbs Craven. You can also go to WilliamPerryStunts.com. And where do they get your books?
Anywhere. Amazon.
Amazon, you guys.
You can't not get that.
If you're his hand or out
you're
of his
going to accidentally purchase my book. It's going to happen. It can happen. So prevalent.
Absolutely. So we want to thank you for coming on the show because we're out of time. Congratulations. If you make it a movie, let us know. If you need somebody to help produce it, let me know. And then we'll talk later.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, William.
Bye-bye.
Good show.
Hey, chat room. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Can turn out to be so wrong.
We in the mix, yeah, we in the mix. It's another episode. Here we go, the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Interviewing the hottest, newest, and truest of today's celebrities. Make sure to subscribe so you can get notified weekly. Jimmy Star, he's the king of cool. Ron Russell, he's a gorgeous dude. Chat room is live and you would be a fool not to vibe with us at the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. So come watch it live on W4CY Radio. Miss some past episodes, download on iTunes. The Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. It's the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell.